Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So, I don't know if you heard the victory that the New York courts had put in place when it came to the verdict of the vax mandates for municipal workers, how they ordered them to have back pay and to have them reinstated for the jobs that they were fired from. Today, we're going to be reacting to The Hill. The Hill, the only reason why I really watch this show mostly now is because of Robbie and a few other guests that comes on, but they have by far, in my opinion, just gone way too far over to the left. I do not like Brianna, and I'm gonna be critical of her and her reaction to this story because this let's just get into it, and then I'm going to just commentate on it while we're watching this to see what her reactions are. If anyone has seen how she reacted to this in the past, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I hope she doesn't backtrack, but she probably will. But without further ado, let's get into it.
A New York court has put an end to the state's COVID-19 vaccine mandate for municipal workers. Not only that, though, but the judge ordered that back pay be doled out to workers fired for refusing to comply. In Tuesday's ruling, Staten Island Supreme Court Justice Ralph Porzio wrote, quote, "It is time for the city of New York to do what is right and what is just."
Porzio also said that the order, which was implemented in October of 2021, violated the state's constitution. Porzio's decision was handed down as a result of a suit that 16 former sanitation department workers filed. They were let go for failing to get vaccinated. And now, while this is the New York Supreme Court, this isn't technically the final word on this case because New York is confusing, which you probably know better than I do.
Supreme Court is not the highest court.
Multiple Supreme Courts, and the highest court is actually the Court of Appeals. But this is obviously the correct outcome, I think. My understanding is that part of the argument was some employees, not in the sanitation department, but in some other department, did receive were allowed not to get vaccinated, but then arbitrarily, or there was no, you could point to no reason why you would give these people exemptions, not these people. But thankfully, Porzio really gets into the fact of the matter, which is you can't justify this if it's no longer true that you have the public health component where you need to vaccinate them so they're not going to spread it to someone else. No one is claiming that anymore. So what is the
Brianna, why are you shaking your head?
This is absolutely the right thing to do. Even before it became more clear how limited the protection the vaccines were against spreading the virus, it seemed obvious that we should be offering more carrots than sticks to encourage people to comply.
Okay. She definitely is backtracking. This girl, if you guys were not watching this show with this woman, and I believe it was Ryan, her and Ryan were so pro-vaccine, so pro-mandate by any means necessary. They wanted us to do exactly what China was doing when it came to their approach to zero COVID. Like, this woman was so authoritarian. And then on top of that, when it came to our military personnel, and she's supposed to be a lawyer. I thought you read the Constitution. I thought that these types of mandates done by executive order definitely breaches our rights as citizens here in America. But yet you, as an attorney, kept pushing. You were so for the vaccines in the most authoritarian way. And I definitely made some comments on these videos because like everything about her, she did, even with all the evidence that was on CDC, it's not like they were hiding it. It really wasn't. I mean, not only did they have the number of individuals who were dying from the COVID, they had the number of individuals who were getting the vaccine and all this other stuff. Look, but then again, like I say so many times, everybody in the media, our schools, this administration, they really think that we are stupid. They want to dumb us down and all this other stuff, especially when it comes to math. But the math was there that didn't support what these so-called scientists were trying to advocate so hard for, that these vaccines did help people, that these vaccines did, in fact, help with containing the virus. When we all know, I don't know if any of you guys have seen the latest clip in Germany where the Pfizer, one of the Pfizer executives did, well, I don't know if there was an executive, but a Pfizer spokeswoman did say that when they when they went out to give these vaccines, no, there was no evidence that this would stop the vaccine from spreading. But for 2 years, this is what we all heard. This was literally what President Biden was saying. If you get the vaccine, you won't get COVID. You won't spread it. Help out your little grandma. Help out your grandma, your granddad, and all this other stuff. If you don't get it, then you're just killing grandma. You're killing granddad. This whole time, not only did this whole administration push that if you got the vaccine, you were not going to catch it and you were not going to spread it. Long and behold, the data inside of the databases and the CDC and the Pfizer, it did not support that. But yet they kept going on and on with these lies. Turns out, well, guess what? Pfizer was lying. When everyone said these vaccines have yet to be tested, the whole population, the whole world were the guinea pigs. We were called conspiracy theorists. We were called, I guess, vaccine deniers or anti-vaxxers. No, we were not anti-vaxxers. A lot of us aren't anti-vaxxers. We're just skeptical about this particular vaccine because it hadn't gone through the normal procedures of normal procedures of how you test, develop, and manufacture vaccines and to push onto the public, okay? And to even come out with such a statement, such a bold statement that, oh yeah, if you take this, you'll never get it, you're fine, and then turn out that it's complete false. How can we ever trust the CDC again? Trust our officials again? What happens when there's a real outbreak? And I'll probably do the same thing. I'll go look into the CDC database, look at the numbers, and look at the vaccine and calculate the efficacy rate and the number of deaths that occurred when there wasn't a vaccine taken, when there wasn't a vaccine taken. It's that easy. It's that simple. All the data is there. You just need to learn some little math and do it yourself. But that requires you doing your own research and not blindly believing the propaganda that they just poured out of their mouth. They spouted out of their mouth for the past 2 years. Kim Everson does a great job on, I think she did. I did watch her take on the court's decision, the New York court decision. And she does a great job with that. And if it wasn't for her, I probably would have gone crazy in my own mind thinking, with the evidence that I came up with, I would have gone crazy if someone else on YouTube wasn't doing the same research. And I'm glad that she stood next to her guns and didn't bow down to the the liars of the world like Dr. Fauci, and refuse to believe the narrative that our officials were giving when obviously the data was there that didn't support it. But anyways, let's get back to her lies.
Never should have been the case that people's livelihoods were threatened in this way in order to get them to take the vaccine. If you want kids to get vaccinated before you go to school, set up booths outside. Mm-hmm. Tell them the health reasons why it might be to their advantage and let them have that choice. Let people work remotely if it really is the case that you think that they absolutely cannot be safely in the workplace. But you don't get to fire people especially when the science is so tenuous. So the fact that you were able to give back pay to folks and try to make them whole in some kind of way, and also obviously reinstate them, I think it's a really strong.
Firing people is not good for their health. Not paying them is not good for their health.
Especially in a world where we don't have basic social support, safety net programs, or health care if you don't have a job. Mm-hmm. In the middle of a pandemic, the logic of putting people in a situation where if they did then contract COVID, wouldn't be able to pay for the treatment they received to keep them alive was a really craven situation.
It really didn't make sense. It speaks to, it's just as you said, carrots rather than sticks. Carrots are the good thing. Sticks hurt.
Yeah.
It's the whole kind of force people to do this, brute force it approach, which has run up against legal issues at every stage here in New York, at the national level when Biden, tried to issue again, without any Congress passing any new laws, he just declared it. That ran up against what the Supreme Court said. So that approach has been legally problematic. I think it's morally problematic. It's tactically problematic, and it puts people. Most people did get vaccinated. Most people got the original vaccine. Most people...
Because they were forced. They didn't have a choice. And okay, I remember driving to Phoenix, and I had a friend this is when I was working at Raytheon, and by the grace of God, something told me to start looking for a remote job. Never did I want to do a remote job, but something told me to start looking for a remote job because not even a month later, this vaccine mandate came out by no one other than the dictator-in-chief, Joe Biden. And my friend had called me saying that he would have gotten fired from Raytheon had he not gotten a vaccine by a certain deadline. He waited. He was so waiting for the outcome of federal employees having to get the vaccine. It came a day after actually the deadline for him to get the vaccine at Raytheon. The verdict for that case came a day after, and he was very upset. He didn't have a choice, and if I'm not mistaken, the whole entire time, there were so many people saying my body, my choice. You have all these women out here when it came to abortion and all this other crap, they're saying my body, my choice. But when they were asked about the vaccine, my body, my choice, what did they say? No, it's not your choice. You don't have the right to kill someone else, when we all know, hey, this vaccine does not prevent you from spreading whatever it is whatever COVID variant that you contract, or from spreading it or from getting it. We knew this, but no one wanted to say it out loud, and I'm glad someone finally said it. But even when that information was related, once Pfizer had to give up their documents, when they were literally forced to by the courts to give up their documents so that the public will know, because the courts did rule that when a company and an administration decides to force everyone to take a vaccine or lose their jobs, it is the right of the people to understand and know all the testing that was involved in this Pfizer and the Pfizer vaccine. They have the right to that information. So I just do think it's just rich that, we had so many people who did not believe that we had the autonomy as individuals to seek out information from our doctors, who we are supposed to trust. We are supposed to trust our primary doctors, get second opinions if we have to. But when they're all saying the same thing, they're pushing something else. They're not actually pushing health, they're pushing compliance. And if anyone would have said any such thing, we would, like I said, we would be considered so many crazy things and all this other crap. But I do think that it's insane how these individuals here, well, not Robbie for the most part was against it, but Bree, how she wants to sit here and say, oh, we should have used a carrot instead of a stick. There's no way that you could use a carrot in this situation, because most people, if given the opinion by their doctor, if they say, hey, you don't need to take it, they shouldn't have been able to take it. They shouldn't have to take it. They shouldn't have to take it, especially if there's some stupid mandates that's out there that's forcing them to, and it goes against their doctor's recommendation. Is that not why we have, protections when it comes to our information? Do we not have a right to that? That's the reason. That's another reason why I am not for this universal health stuff, because it puts the government into our lives when it comes to health. And if this was the way that they acted with COVID, I wouldn't want them being involved with any aspect of my health, because of how totalitarian they were with this approach. Like all all I guess you can call them reasons, pros for allowing universal health care went out the window when you implemented the harshness of such the harshness of not receiving such procedures, because this was being dictated by the government. You lost your job. People, when I even remember going on the convoy, there were people out there protesting these mandates because they lost their jobs, they lost their livelihoods. This is what your president did. So there is no way. And on top of that, didn't we just automatically, just magically forget about HIPAA laws? Now, like, if we tell HIV people or HIV positive people that you don't have to disclose your condition to individuals, why the fuck, and that's a lot more deadlier, by the way, that's a lot more deadlier than COVID, why the fuck should we have to disclose our information on whether or not we got a stupid vaccine that's ineffective? Okay, we can clearly say that. We can officially say that now. It is ineffective for the majority of individuals. When even it comes to, well, it's ineffective in the manner that it doesn't prevent you from catching it. So yeah, I guess I do stand corrected in that. It helps with the symptoms, but that doesn't mean it will prevent you from catching it. I lost my train of thought there, but crap. But anyways, yeah. How can we just can't. I hope in the future, since I lost my train of thought, I'm just going to end it right here. I hope in the future people take this as a warning. People take this reaction as a warning. And it doesn't matter whether or not they're Democrats, Republicans, or independents, or whatever freaking party that comes into power. Some actions that you know are morally questionable, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go against our Constitution. They're going to go against human rights. This whole world was basically used as guinea pigs, and the Geneva Code, the Nuremberg, I'm not the Geneva Code, but the Nuremberg Code, thrown out the window, completely thrown out the window. I hope people remember this. Honestly, give it a. I actually don't put it behind people that I don't think they'll learn this lesson, because we were at the same situation when the AIDS pandemic happened, or so-called epidemic happened. So if people didn't learn from that, I really don't think they'll learn from this. Just as long as you scare the masses, just as long as you keep them scared, you can feed them anything. That is the one thing I have taken away from this whole COVID stuff. I hope if there ever is a real outbreak, that I pray to God there's not a real outbreak, but either way, I think a lot of individuals will just be really skeptical of whatever this administration comes out with, or whatever CDC comes out with, or whatever some biopharmaceutical company comes out with in order to protect you. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, and have a nice day.